You are listening to Season 2 of The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, the short and often daily podcast in which I chronicle my life and attempt to be a writer by writing daily. Sometimes. Hello, today is Thursday the 30th of January 2025 and you're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. And the first thing I want to do is apologise for the bloody awful sound quality in yesterday's episode. So I decided to record it whilst I was walking home, which I've done before. And what I'd forgotten, and this has happened to me once before, but I picked up on it before I put the episode out. I remember a little while ago I recorded an episode live from Times Square, and it turned out that because my headphones were connected through Bluetooth, the phone decided it was going to use the crappy microphone in the headphones or the earphones to record the podcast. And I worked this out before I put the podcast out in New York and turned Bluetooth off so it didn't happen. However, yesterday, I'd completely forgotten that happened because it was ages ago. And I recorded the podcast coming up the hill. You could tell from how out of breath I was. And what I normally do is I listen to, so obviously I don't hear the intro and outro music when I record it, but I usually listen to the overlaps just to make sure that it cuts in and out at the right time. And I tried to do that yesterday, and for some reason it wouldn't play it back to me. No idea why. So what it meant was, and had I done that, I would have heard the bloody awful sound quality and gone, oh, okay, have to do that again. I'd have remembered the problem in New York and all that. But I didn't. I just thought, oh, it looks all right. I'm sure it'll be fine. Saved, uploaded the episode. And then if I'd listened to it as soon as I got home, again, I would have gone, oh God, that's awful, delete. However, I didn't get round to listening to it for 2 and a bit hours after I'd uploaded it. And in the meantime, somebody else had listened to it. And there's a side of me that thinks, well, if somebody's listened to it, then I shouldn't really take it down because it's an episode that I've put out, even if the sound quality was shit. So apologies. I will try and remember that for next time. I have turned Bluetooth off on my phone now, so it almost certainly isn't happening. And I want to celebrate some success again because I did a 4-hour live stream on Twitch earlier today from approximately 9:30 till approximately 1:30. And during that, I got talking to a couple of lovely people from Canada, weirdly opposite ends of the country, one from Toronto and one from, not from Vancouver, but that side of the country. And yeah, it was lovely. But during that session, I managed to get chapter 40 of Empress of the Trees signed off. It's done. So, to reiterate what I said yesterday in the god-awful sound quality, I set myself 3 targets this month. To be back in the habit of regularly submitting the English hikikomori. Happened. To finish writing chapters 39 and 40 of Empress of the Trees. Happened. The only thing that hasn't happened, as I said, is writing my short story. Now, technically, I could do that tomorrow, but I've got my annual exams for work coming up, and I think really that needs to be the priority. However, I will now tell you what my priorities for February are. So, priorities for February. The first one is to write the epilogue to Empress of the Trees. This evening I met up with T.G. Campbell and she was doing a bit of plotting work for the 8th Bow Street Society novel, and I sat down and worked out the scene breakdown for the epilogue. So I kind of knew what needed to happen, but I wanted to actually, I find it easier to write if I've got the scene breakdown just before I write the chapter. I mean, you've seen it, the last 2 chapters I've written, because I had the scene breakdowns, it was actually remarkably quick to write them. And I've done that. So the scene breakdown for the epilogue is even written, but I'm not going to start writing it until later. Well, not later, but until next month. So yes, my priority next month is to write the epilogue. I'm going to think about specific deadlines to set, and I'll tell you those on the first podcast of February. But yeah, so one will be write the epilogue, which will basically finish the first draft of Empress of the Trees. Number 2 will be that short story. And number 3 will then be to start work on doing the 5th draft, hopefully the final draft of Still Life. So those are my focuses for next month. But I am so thrilled to have got where I've got with Empress, because for a while, I started writing it in 2019. I wrote a lot over those first few months. And then, of course, COVID happened, which totally ripped out my enthusiasm for the project, because it's quite a bleak story. Empress of the Trees is about the end of the world, an ecological disaster which is totally preventable. The human race are given specific measurable goals to prevent it from happening, by trees, admittedly, but that's neither there nor there. And we totally fail. And the world ends and only a handful of people survive, designated survivors, basically. And for a while, COVID, when we went into lockdown and stuff, it felt very alien and strange. And it kind of felt a little bit like that kind of thing might be possible at that point. Obviously, unless something drastic happens soon, COVID didn't play out that way. So, and I picked up the story. I did bits and pieces with it. I didn't stop in 2020, but I don't think I did any serious work. I obviously did a bit more, but I didn't seriously pick it up again until January 23, at which point I've been editing it, because I've changed from a write model to a write edit model. So yeah, but I'm thrilled because it's done. The bulk of the story is done. I've just got to write the epilogue. Now, once I've done that, I've already made some notes of what I want to do in the second draft of the book. Most of it is very basic and little. There's just a couple of... So there's a character that's in the last few chapters that's really important, and I want to seed him into the story a little bit earlier, mainly through phone calls. I don't think he's going to physically appear, or maybe he'll appear. There's places he could appear, but basically... So I want to seed that character in a little bit further, just so we don't know, so that it's not such a surprise when this really important person in Arbor Associates, turns up in, chapter 37, whatever it is, out of 40. So little bits and pieces like that. I think I've got some naming inconsistencies. I think I was calling the entity in the tree one thing at one point, but then I found out a better name for it, but I haven't gone back and changed it. So it's little bits and pieces like that. So it'll basically be another read through, tidying it up as I go and making a few minor changes. Anyway, I'm not going to do any more podcasts for a bit now. So it seems a shame not to do one every day in January, but tomorrow I'm literally going to be concentrating on my exams and revision and stuff for those. So I won't have anything to say apart from I've been revising for my exams. So tell you what, let's pretend. Hello, it's Thursday the 31st of January and you're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. I've been revising my exams. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. There you go. That's tomorrow's podcast incorporated into this one. I won't do one tomorrow. And then I've got more revision and the actual training days and exam days. So my plan is currently to come back on the 6th of February. So I've got nearly a week off basically, or 6 days where I won't be doing a podcast. Sorry about that, but... I feel so good today. As I say, a real sense of accomplishment. And I really think I've accomplished a decent amount this month as well. I set myself the goals of writing 2 chapters. That's 17,000 words. I've written them. I've edited them. I like them because that's a big part of it. So, yes, thank you to everybody who's listened this month and in last year. Sorry about the bloody awful mess that was yesterday's podcast. And I will talk to you again next month. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. For more information about what I'm writing, go to linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W, where you can find details of my website and social media. I may see you there.